And I am here at the NAMTA show in Columbus, Ohio. You can already see the guest that I have beside me is the infamous or famous Michael Harding.
Infamous.
Infamous? Okay,
Yeah.
We'll go with infamous. And I'm so excited. I know that we don't always have the opportunity to have Michael here in Toronto with us. So the fact that we actually have time to chat with him today, I am so super excited. So I have some questions that I posed, and Michael doesn't know what they are. We're going to have a bit of a chat about his new paints, which are right behind us.
New watercolor paints.
New watercolors, yes. I know a lot of you are familiar with his professional artist oils, which many of you are so fond of and love. So for the next couple of minutes, please, I hope you'll stay tuned in, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. These should be coming into the store in the next little while, and you'll get to hear all about them. So, Michael, thank you very much for your time.
Lovely to be here with you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. So we know, and I'm going to ask you about the oil paints,
Sure.
Because there may be some customers or some consumers that aren't familiar. How long have you been making your oil paints?
I calculated the other day, we're in our 40th year.
Wow.
So it was either at 1982 or 1983. We're not quite sure. I've got definite records of supplying the Victorian Albert Museum in 1983 for a restoration job. So we're just been 40 years old.
Wow. I didn't realize, maybe I do remember it being that long, but you're also an accomplished artist too.
Well, thank you for considering me that way. Yes, I am an artist. I studied fine art in Epsom, just on the edge of London back in the 1970s, which dates me. And here I am all this time later. And as you know, I was driven into business really by wanting to get a paint that was responsive and behaved like I would like. And so this is the result. I didn't expect this explosion of entrepreneurialism to it. And people say to me, "You're an entrepreneur," and I'm an unintentional entrepreneur. So it's 40 years.
Wow. And now I know that you've added many colors to your oil line.
Yeah.
How many colors are there in the line now?
We're currently in the 90s, I believe. Certain parts of the world we can't sell the lead whites because of local government legislation, because as we all know, artists are incompetent and they're likely to eat it thinking it's toothpaste. That is the reason. So roughly it's somewhere in the 90s, depending where you are in the world. But
Well,
I think in Canada we can sell lead whites without
Yes.
problem, as long as the correct warnings are on the tube. So
yes.
the range will increase. I mean, I know retailers don't always like to hear this. When I was developing the watercolors recently, it allowed me to get my hands on many, many new pigments. And I'd be sort of mixing around and thinking, oh, this would look nice in oil. So believe it or not, and brace yourself for this now, we're adding 40 new colors
Oh, no.
to celebrate 40 years.
Well, hold on a second. I don't think we have room in our display for the extra 40. So I bet there's a new display coming.
There's new display standards.
Okay.
We've got a couple of solutions. That was going to be my next conversation with you today, but don't worry about that. So folks, it's going to be 40 new oil colors to celebrate 40 years. How about that? And that should be coming out sometime around the fall.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. See, more things to look forward to for this fall.
Not many people know that, so that's an early press release, you could say.
Great. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So then I guess we can ask, going into the watercolor, since this is the newest product, how many colors are there again?
Currently
in this?
134.
134, wow. And they're all in 15 mil tubes?
15 mil tubes at the moment. We might do a smaller tube size. We might do pans. Pans will have to be a different formulation just by the nature of how you fill a pan and things like that. But I will only do it if I know that I can still do the same zingy thing.
Right.
So that's any ideas with pans is still at an experimental level, but we know we've nailed it with the paste version in the tubes. And as you saw with that wonderful email just now, that's
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael was showing us some of the responses he's had from teachers who are now sourcing out the product because they tested it and how fantastic it is. Actually, you mentioned that there's a Canadian artist that was part of your testing group when you were creating the product.
Brienne Brown, yes. She's a very well-known... sorry, wrong one. Poppy Balsa. Beg your pardon, I got the wrong one.
There's many of them.
Yeah, there's many of them. Yeah, sorry. Pop your bowl. Sorry,
Okay.
I've been on the road for 2 weeks, so I'm rather sort of fried at the moment.
That is no problem.
The trouble is, too many artists like the paint, and I get confused.
That's a good thing then.
Yeah, it's the right type of confusion.
And are they a lot of single pigment colors?
92, I think, was the last count I had. There was a single pigments, so roughly 2/3 are single pigments, roughly.
Okay.
Which I think is great. We even have a gap here because I will be adding other colours at some stage.
Yes.
So there's probably another dozen spaces, something like that. And I've got my eyes on some quite exotic, unusual things.
Lovely.
We've got a very special lapis lazuli here, which I'm sure most of you know about. Granulating, of course. So there's a lot of very special things. Sorry, you were going to say, Jacqueline.
No, I was just going to point out also that we have here a number of sets that are available, and I think they mentioned there's about 30 sets. Wow.
There's a lot of sets because we got lots of requests for different sets. It can be everything from sort of tropical colors to botanical colors to historic granulation set. We've even got a nice London mist color. I mean, essential grays and things like that. We've got so many varieties. This is so handy for artists because you can just come in and grab a nice set, priced accordingly to make it, affordable and great incentive for artists. So lots of opportunities there.
Well, I wanted to ask you, what color is London Mist? What does that look like?
Oh, it's foggy color. Yeah.
Is it a transparent so you can see through the mist?
It'd be slightly opaque, actually.
Okay.
Because as mist is, it's just fun because when you're putting together, say, a landscape set and you want to have a bit of variation, then there's sort of an urban set or a nocturne set. We're just trying to inspire people, really. And I think one of the things I enjoy the most when I talk to artists is being able to plant those little seeds of inspiration. And I, as an artist as well, I live for colour, as Jacqueline knows. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think we all do. Whenever you're involved in this industry, you have to just live for colour.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what made you decide? I know that you've talked about this for many years. What made you decide to make a watercolor? What was the inspiration for that?
Well, as a painter myself, I paint in watercolor and oil. And of course, I was very known for my oils. People were constantly saying, hey, when are you going to do watercolors? And so it's sort of my life mission. I don't have interest to do acrylics, if that's another thing that people would be thinking of. Although we do acrylic primers in a variety of colors, which have proven very successful because specifically formulated so that the colors don't sink as they generally do with an acrylic gesso. So yeah, it was literally a combination of both my own need for a good watercolor, customer requests, and just really loving making things. I mean, as you know, talking to me, if it's messy, I love it, and I just love getting covered in color, and I love working with artists, and when they say the things that like I've changed their lives as a painter, in a positive way, that is. I get a real buzz from it.
No, that's fantastic. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
And you're always so passionate about it. I know anytime we've had you in our shop and people have come just to hear you speak about it, it's always the passion that you have that I think makes everyone want to not only listen to what you say, but to want to try your product because of that.
I'm one of those lucky people. You hear people saying I do the best job in the world because it's not really a work. Yeah, I'm tired when I'm on the road, but I just enjoy it so much. We don't consider it work. I mean, I travel with my wife Karen most of the time, and we both live for colour quite literally.
Wow, that's amazing. When do you actually get some downtime?
I usually get a chance to relax while waiting for planes. People ask me where I live in the UK. I say Terminal 3, Heathrow. It seems like that. In fact, we leave here tomorrow afternoon, and 3 days later I fly to the UK.
Oh.
So I've got 3 days of downtime, which I'm really looking forward to, I have to say. And plus also I've got a couple of paintings I want to tweak before I jump on a plane.
Oh,
yeah, so it's great. A busy life, but it's a great life.
Wow, yeah. That's wonderful. And I was going to ask, what sets the colors that you've made? What sets them apart from anything else that's on the market?
Oh, that's an interesting question, because for me, I wanted to make a color that literally pokes your eye out. I want to shock people with what I call the possibility of color. Um, when you mix something on your palette and it has that moment of like, oh, I didn't expect that. Oh, yeah. And that's when you want to immediately sort of stick the brush into it and whack it onto the paper or the canvas. And for me, maximum pigmentation. We don't put any fillers or extenders, of course, in our oils, no artificial dryers. So that's why I often describe them, the best way to think of them is as a concentrate. Rather than getting sort of too much of a spiel about the technical aspects, just think of them as a concentrate. And for me, when I created the watercolors, there would have been no point in bringing out a watercolor which was just like anyone else's. So, we at one point felt we were almost creating a new medium. I wanted to approach it in a completely different way, and it handles slightly differently to other people. But as you've seen over here on the test sheets,
Yes.
and this real color chart here, I'm sure you can see the vividness of these. I wanted consciously to be distinctly different from other people, and it's all about bringing out the beauty of the color. If you have beautiful color, you can make beautiful paintings. If you haven't got beautiful color, we know how it's going to be. I'm just driven by wanting to help artists as well.
That's amazing. And I remember when we first came to the booth and Karen was showing us the demo sheets, and she pointed out that you just need a little bit of color. It's
Yes.
highly, highly concentrated, so you don't have to use a lot to get the effect of the color that's going out of the tube to the paper.
Yeah, exactly. Being a concentrate, it goes so much further. And I'd like to think we're very affordable. But when you consider how much further it goes, dare I say, than other brands, it's a win-win.
I think that's great. Is there any other tidbits, anything you'd like to share that just to tell everyone about either the oils or the new watercolors? This is where you can say whatever you like.
Oh, gosh, I wish I had a chance to think about that. I would just love people to try them. If you've heard about my stuff before, and people have said to you, "You got to try it," you really have. There's one warning I have to give you. I've been told that both ranges are very addictive, so be careful.
I don't want them to be careful. We
Right,
want
you know what I
them to
mean.
try it.
I warn you that even if I gave you a sample, I often joke, and I shouldn't joke about these things. It's a bit like being a drug dealer. Your soul will now belong to me because I will own it. Because once you try the colors, you can't go back. It's a Pandora's box.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
And you can see behind us this beautiful range of colors. I don't think I've seen anything quite like it. This display is just beautiful.
Well, thank you. I mean, here they all are again. So,
and I think it just looks so impressive seeing them on the rack. They really do look amazing.
I invite you also to check out our website, michaelharding.co.uk. That's very important, the .co.uk. And you'll find, of course, a color chart there for both oils and watercolors, and an abundance of information. Oh, and also, don't hesitate to email me directly. If there's a technical question, of course, you can go through Jacqueline, but you can just email me directly, and I'll be happy to sort of try and answer things.
Then you won't have any downtime.
No, I certainly won't, will I?
Well, that was wonderful.
Great.
Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it.
Yeah, well, it was a pleasure to do.
Anytime you want to come up to Toronto, we'd love to have a visit and a chat.
That would be very nice.
Bye-bye for now. Thank you very much.